Can you see my screen?
It's loading for me.
Okay.
Yes, now we can see your screen.
Hi. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I think Gayan, we have about maybe in the next 2 minutes or so. What I will share with you is how insights can make an impact on your FE submission. Now, the experience I'm going to share today is mainly as a researcher because we work closely with many brands in the industry, many sectors in the industry. So, experience as a researcher. And also, I'm going to share my experience as a juror who has been on the FE panel for some time, and the kind of observations that I have as a juror, maybe I can share with you all. The objective is how you come up with an FE-worthy, impactful submission, a winning submission. So, having said that, um, I will, yeah. So just as Gan mentioned, now what I've done here today is for you to be very familiar. I've taken the same FE, the format. Only thing is I've moved it to a different slide. But that whole, the word for word, how the instructions are being given in your entry form, I'm taking piece by piece and sharing with you where can this insights will help you to bring an impactful submission. Now, so when we look at broadly, as we all know, you're familiar with the entry form, and these are the 4 buckets that we need to give our information. That is the challenge, the context, and the objective, the insight, and the strategic idea, bringing the idea to life and the results. Now, what I observe is most of the time, it's the results part that is being supported by research data. Most of the time, I'm just talking about this is the common things that you see. Now, why I have put these 4 brackets is to let you know at every stage you can support with information that will make your um, strengthen your to strengthen your case, right? So what I will do is I will take bucket by bucket, and we'll also go through the tips FE Global has given, and to see how we can align and how we can make the best out of the information available out there. So there can be one thing is you can have secondary information. It not doesn't have to necessarily be primary information. There's a lot of social, data analytics that takes a lot of information around that. Our own observations. So there's a lot that you can bring in to strengthen your case. So having said that, so if you look at this first part, the challenge, context, and the objective, provide context including category background for why the objectives are important for the brand and growth of the business. Because even in your entry form, if you read, what they say is what you need to understand is these judges that to come and sit on this panel, they come from different backgrounds. Not everybody has or have that's the whole idea also has an understanding, a thorough understanding of the industries that everyone is, the participants are, or the brand managers, advertisers are representing. So that's why it's really important that you set the context. When you set the why the context is different, because when you set the context, you also at the same time set the pre and post context also. This was the background and the challenge, and how we have overcome the challenge, how we have met our objectives. What was it before that, before and after? Because effectiveness means it's pre and post. If you don't have a pre, how do you measure the post? So these are some of the, sometimes you get excellent, you know that, there's a lot of data to support how certain campaigns, address, advertisements have worked, but the real impact can be seen if you have the baseline or pre information. So this is where you can use available information to strengthen your code. So I will take one by one. Now, this is again from the entry kit. So before your effort began, what was the state of the brand, business, and the marketplace or category in which it competes? And provide context on the degree of difficulty of this challenge. So there, when you say that, okay, the brand share was only this much, or the penetration was this much, or the sales numbers, there was a dip in the sales number, there was a drop in shares, because finally, while you have certain matrices to measure impact, at the end of the day, with the judges, there will be key measurements in there. You know how finally what happened to your ROI, what happened to your revenues, what happened to your sales, what happened to your the brand shares. So you may, but there will be certain parameters I'll talk about will support it, but then this will lead to a larger, higher order impact. That is how your scores will be determined, right? How you will move to a medal. So now when you look at the context, there are multiple syndicated customer studies available out there. Syndicated. When you say syndicated, it says information is shared with everyone. So you can access that for, investments matter. Investments matter. But when it's syndicated, you get the information, like doing primary research at reasonable amounts, because obviously this is one other area, investments matter. So there are, to give you about the competitor status, understanding on this usage and studies, there are household panels, a lot of information like from there, the penetration, the competitor landscape, volumes, values, average consumption. Because these are the things sometimes the brand custodians or the agencies may miss out, because we do know now when we sit in some of these entries, we do know the client is subscribing to data, but unfortunately, and we do know this data is the information is available with the client. They have not brought in those information to strengthen the case. For example, say you have a spread. I don't want to get into brands. You have a spreads category out there, and what is your whole the campaign is to increase the usage in different consumption occasions. Now, sometimes you will have certain matrices to prove that your share and things, but sometimes it's not necessarily the campaign that can come in favor of you. Sometimes against you, depending on what you want to prove. But that's what straightforward matrix would be if somebody is having access to it, because I do know most of the entries do have data from different sources, from different available sources out there, how the average consumption shot up. Sometimes the penetration may not give you that, but the average consumption will clearly tell that means your campaign has worked. There are more same people using more. So these are basic things, but it will add a lot of credibility and support to build your case. These are the simple things. So I'm just sharing information that's that's common information that's out there. So so when you look at information, so it is important that what is there's a lot of information. What information should be really bring into that particular area, right? Because rather than leave it to that very end, because everywhere, since it's 23, then 30% is results, but you can still create an impact. So the other one is target audience. Now, describing the target audience, because you will have a communication audience. You will have, there are two types of audience sometimes that the brand will have an audience, and you will have a communication target group also. So it is important which target group do you bring out and you talk about, because your communication will impact your communication teaching. So then in order to do that, in order to even say that this is how much the impact it had created, this is how my target group audience has expanded, new trials have come in, I have now new consumers, all kind of things. You need to understand the country, your demographics and the sizes, the profile, who are these people, and through syndicated surveys, qualitative, there's other qualitative studies and other lot of consumer personas to tensions to behaviors and perception, then social media matrices, because there is a lot, because we do know that it's not easy. Doing researches, and especially primary research, warrants a lot of investments, right? So from where do we tap? Because even in the social media, because we do know that there's a lot that we can now tap to obtain information, support your data. You can also, this is also one big area that we tend to provide information more from the available data, but there's a lot of new research work that is out there. Okay, so the next, let me go to, so now this is the most important part of it, right? The most important part of it is insight and strategic idea. Now that is the second part, because this is where your idea will stem from, the insight, right? So state the insight that led to your big idea. Explain the thinking that led to your insight. Some insights come from research, data, and analytics, and others come from inspiration. And describe it here. This is straight from your entry key. Keep in mind, so this is one common area that we see. Keep in mind, an insight is not merely a fact or observation. Based on research, it is the strategic insight unique to your brand and audience that was leveraged to help meet your objectives. So sometimes what happens is, sometimes the insight is not observation or a fact. So that we have to really keep that in mind, because most of the time we see fact or observations being put as included as the insight. This is one common thing that we see. So explain how. So these are straight. I am not going to read out these the tips. These are the tips that that you will see in the entry kit. So if you go to I will just quickly take you through what is an insight, because this is an area that sometimes people can get a bit confused. Now, your big idea starts with the insight, I said. And what is that insight? It's a consumer insight that gets into the heart of people's thoughts and behavior to inspire business opportunity. Okay, so a strong insight points to an unmet need. So an insight is not a research conclusion, as I mentioned earlier, a fact or an observation. Instead, it's a written statement in consumer language that is based on consumer behavior, right? So that is very important. That is very important that we look at insights from this angle. So insight. So I will dwell a bit on what is an insight, because that's what we do. We as marketers, we provide insights to our brand custodians. So I will spend a bit more time here. So the insight should have a consumer truth. It should have a consumer need, and it should have a friction. Then only that insight will help you to come up with that, that stretch your idea. So an insight itself does not need to be, it's like a earth-shattering new. Its value is realized when an idea is developed from it. So, for example, uh, now, uh, if I may say, maybe later I can discuss a bit about what sort of, I don't want to spend too much of time, but so that is one very important area that what this insight, it's not a fact or an observation. This is what an insight should entail. Now, bringing the idea to life, 23% of the total score. So again, so elaborate on your communication strategy, including the rationale behind your key channel choices. Why were your channel choices and media strategy right for a specific audience and idea? Again, so this again, you really then need to understand, get a good understanding about how do you use these channels or the rationale for selecting a certain channel. So how did you bring the idea to life? Explain the idea. Again, I'm not going to talk a lot around what's there, the tips. But again, there's a lot of ad spend and data, media, measurement data that will help you to identify how and where your media plan should be placed, right? So just on this communication, because this is so, judges also look at how you brought the idea to life. In order to bring your idea to life, it is so important to understand your creative idea, how the impact of that, So there's a lot of, work that qualitatively or with co-creation research can come in and support, which you may already have, but you need to provide wherever possible. I know there is a particular amount of space that is there to obviously put in your comments, but there's qualitative workshops, creations for develop the creative platform, right? And then then there's the screening. So to find the most compelling expression of the creative brief within the creative roots also. So because we do know there's a pattern, there is the brand custodians will give a creative brief to the creative agencies, and creative agencies will obviously come up with the executions. But prior to that, it's always, there's a lot of pre-testing that takes place. It confirms the content, whether it performs as expected. So there are a lot of concept evaluations, the pre-links, the call contour. There are which use AI, actually facial coding. There's a lot of tools out there in the market that can be used to ensure that the creatives that you put out there is effective, right? So again, I'm just sharing some of the tools to my knowledge. I'm sure there are a lot of other tools that can help creating effectiveness. Now, sometimes actually what happens is creative testing is done, it's often done too late. And in the process, you may miss the opportunity of developing, learning, or co-creating the big ideas, or that sometimes can happen. So starting early to ensure that communication is founded on relevant connections, these things will really will help you to come up with a powerful creative. So these are, again, there's a lot of research out there. Now the results. The results part, now this is, so now see, now up to these points, while we don't see too much of information or research or what is out there is being brought into strength and game. A lot of times what we see is this 30% of results, then there is a lot that's been brought here. But you need to bring that right piece of information at the right time. That is that is what gives the judges the confidence that the brand custodians or the creatives, the agency, they've really thought through they really looked at, the informations are whatever the activities carried out are based on informed decisions. So there is a lot of confidence that gives which brings out for the judges to um, give obviously a favorable rating, right? So then the next one is the results. Say 30% of uh, the evaluation. So again, this is again, as I started off saying, with category and prior year context, why these results are significant. Sometimes what happens is brand custodians come to us and asking, okay, now we have launched this campaign. Can you start a brand health study or anything to measure effectiveness? Now, once a law campaign is launched, now we without in absence of a base or pre behavior, it will be very difficult to measure the impact because there is how do you measure the gap? How do you measure the uh, uh, pre and post gap? So this is what I mentioned earlier. So so in when the results come again, there's a lot of information that can help you to support. So a lot of time finally boils down to the business impact on the business. No, then again the revenue gain, the share gain, the sales, what has happened, the penetration, and the brand health and equity. These studies will give you a lot of information. Now, if a brand has access to household panel data, what my observation is that is the basic penetrations and shares that these are what's been brought out. But there's a lot of other, because if you subscribe to household panel data, we do know that there's a whole set of other information that comes with it. So there is gains and loss. How you have managed to gain support with those information, right? Then there is a new trials, repeaters. How many have after seeing, of course, the campaign, new trials have come in. Your loyalty, your repeat purchase rate, the NPS, the loyalties. There are a lot of things to measure the customer satisfaction. So whatever that is there will really help you score because it's 30%. So, and also, but don't forget, it also need to tie into your story also. So sometimes what happens is some people just dump the entire research, the study with some 30, 40 slides. No one is going to look at all that. It's you just need to bring what is relevant to build your story, right? Then and prove it. You bring the information to prove the results. And then obviously how you have fared better than your competition. That's why these gains and losses to all that will give you a huge edge over the others. Now, so these are again digital behavior. There's so much. We do know that there's so much of information that is out there that can really help you, right, on the digital space, because that's one not everybody has the means. Everybody has the means to do primary research, get a lot of other information that will help you to strengthen your case. So when you look at the digital research also, so there's a lot of digital analytics that is out there which can help you. So I am sure most of these custodians are, most of they are like young, that says uh, custodians, brand custodians from communication. So a lot of digital data also you can bring in, like the shares to comments to web analytics to clicks to, there is a lot of things, but wherever it's possible, you bring that, because sometimes what you see is you tend to still put a lot in, which is all right. The I don't want to use information that has been always been there, but there's a lot of new information that's out there that can come in, especially on the social media digital space, to support your case. So now again, when you talk about results, new customer, the new acquisitions, these things are very, will create a huge impact, because this campaign, you can clearly then should be able to, obviously in the time period, the kind of impact there, or the changes that have managed to bring it. So there are, as I mentioned, the ROIs to loyalty to awareness. Now, one again is, we sometimes see a lot of time brand awareness, top of mind recall, all that is been brought into support. But please understand, finally this will lead to revenue or ROI, or a higher order impact. So while those things are important, but ensure that you also support it with that revenue gain or the share gain or the sales, because at the end of the day, what is being measured is how it impacted the business, the overall business. So just bringing in research data alone will not strengthen your case also. Yeah. So that's why if you really look at this, the winners, usually they are more likely to demonstrate revenue or gain or acquisitions or anything, and less, I mean, that is more likely to harp on those points, apart from increases in awareness and things like that. So finally, these are the higher order parameters or matrix that will help you strengthen your campaign, or the strengthen your case. So I guess, again, if you go back, so there are just to summarize, what it says is, what I'm trying to tell here is, it's not just the results that you need to bring all the brand health data, equity data. There's a lot that can help you, but from beginning to the end of the entry, wherever possible, you can bring in razor. One of the key areas is this insight, because if you get that insight right, your idea will be better and your campaign will have more legs. So that innovation journey starts with the insight. Insight is not a fact or an observation. So we really need to, as I mentioned, is this a real insight that we are talking about? And that insight has to have a friction, because it is the friction that we try to solve, with our communication. So an insight should spark an immediate, idea immediately, right? And it should give us a business opportunity. That's how it works. So this will not happen unless there is some tension in there. So without that, it's not always clear what is the problem the consumer is trying to resolve. Because unless you have a problem that consumer is trying to resolve, there is no tension. When there is no tension, what is the problem we are trying to address? That is what is going to give us the business opportunity. So that's a chain, right? And then again, bringing that idea to life also, there's a lot of testing that is out there that use AI. A lot of state-of-the-art testing that is out there, and do that early, because so the pre-testing is there. Well, post is also there, but that will then give you the confidence. This is engaging, this is effective, and this is relevant. So all these information will be thrown out. Again, and then of course, finally coming to the results part, which I described here. Again, the revenues, the sale gains, how you manage to increase the penetration by getting new people, repeat purchase. Again, the pre and the post, the impact is really important. So across all evaluation parameters, as you see, you understand the importance of informed decision making based on data. It plays a key role. So that is, I guess, the whole idea of why I'm talking to you today, and to make the best out of it, because every possible, I mean, every in that the sections that we spoke about, there's a lot of opportunity for you to bring in and strengthen your case with the data. So by leveraging your ability to engage deeply with research data, we can create impactful campaigns. So this approach not only empowers marketers and advertisers to connect more effectively with their audiences, but also ensures that the strategies are innovative, data-driven, and impactful. When that's impactful only, it will generate your expected business goals. So with that, I want to end. And I mean, we can, if there's any questions you can ask, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Himali, for very insightful session. That will be great help for the participant to sharpen their entry. And we can open the forum for Q&A for a while. And there's a one question in the chat box. Is it essential to have research data and figures for every aspect?
Not really. It is not. That's why you only bring if that is going to strengthen your case. But there is opportunity for you to, while because what we see here is most of the time the result section is being, but if you with research data set the context, you have to use that to your advantage. Sometimes some data may not come work in your favor. So you need to know if what sort of information is out there. So that's why because there's a lot of sometimes the awareness of this piece of information already sits with my brand custodian is, for example, as I mentioned, now if panel information, there is a lot of data that you can obtain through that. So if you subscribe, you will have a lot. So it's not essential, but obviously it will help you to strengthen and score. So when imagine an entry kit without any information to support, then and there you lose 30 marks then and there because there's nothing to support, no? So essential is at the right place, you bring the right type of information to support your story.
This is connected to the same question. Further says, should the result be shown numerically after the campaign? Our client did not want to show it numerically, so they give a letter. So this is about maybe the client not giving enough data to support the case.
Yeah, then it will be a very weak entry. How do you need measurement, right? So how do you measure? If you have to have a measurement now to see the impact. How do you see my business has grown? I was selling 100. After this campaign, I have sold 200. If I can't give that 200, if it's only 10, then 110, my impact is I only managed to get this up by 10. But if I say I've doubled, that has a huge impact on your case. How would the judges know that this has created impact? Now, even that simple example I did, the spreads you say. We have a campaign to say, okay, increase your consumption occasions during the day. How do you measure that? Your penetration, because sometimes penetration will not help you that. Penetration will say, okay, the household purchased it to the household. But your campaign is not talking about bringing it once a month to your household. Making your consumption occasions, you eat in the morning, eat in the day after, that only will show with your average consumption increase. So whether it's revenue, whether it's sales, whether that is how you can give the measurement. It will qualitatively, it will be very hard to build that case. Even say again, average, I'm just saying, because these are things I'm talking about without mentioning about brands. You get a toothpaste brand to come and say, not morning is not enough. You need to brush in the night also. How do you prove that? Penetration won't support, because penetration in purchases at least once into the household. But you will see those in the volumes, the numbers, actual volumes. So this is why it's so important. So I'm not really sure why the brand custodian is reluctant to share numbers. If it's obviously in your, it'll work in your favor if you have that.
So, should we have any more queries, question, doubts to clear? So we can open the
Yeah,
forum for
yeah.
Q&A
Please
if you have
ask
any
if you
question.
have any. Just make it a very, informal session, because not everyone is familiar with this jargon or research jargon we use also. That's one other, area that I really see. And the kind of research tools that available out there in the market. And with digitization, there's a lot, and with AI, there is a lot that happens out there. So it's important that whether we are the brand custodian or whether we are from the creative side, we have an understanding of the plethora of information that's out there, fact-based, which should help you make informed decisions. And what it does and how. I'm sure in most of I fields, because sometimes we work with these clients and I know this client has this information hasn't brought into the entry to strengthen the case. It's a pity. So this is why it's so important that you, and then on the social media, because that's where, especially with lesser investments, where you can have a lot of data to support your case. Because the other areas of research can be quite, but social media data you will have, from the web analytics to sentiment analysis to, social listening. I'm sure there's a lot that you can help to support your case. But bring it where it's relevant. Don't leave it to that very end. What I'm saying is, wherever it's relevant, with one line is enough to give that assurance. Okay, this person knows what he's talking about, has made informed decisions based on, information that's out there. And the results show that. And the results mostly finally boils down to your revenue, your sales, your market share, because it's the impact on the business that you finally measure, while other parameters will support that case. Any questions?
Extension to the same question. There's another question in the chat box. Need to show the numbers of the changes that happen on social media. Is it beneficial? I think that's what you
Definitely.
were
Yeah,
explaining all this time.
yeah. Because impact will come from pre-post, right? So that's why it's in that when you set the background or whatever, you also need to have some idea where we were before and where we are after. For that, you can use anything that is available out there to build your case. So look at what's out there when you go on social media, what is out there. Where you can, the click-through rates, the link clicks or time spent, the impressions to the number of time that has, come up, I don't know, that's impressions, right? On the sentiment analysis. So I don't know how you obtain. I'm sure it depends on from whom you're obtaining this information. But get this, because we are all on social media, right? So that's why you need to support that 360. Now you have put down the channels also, no? Where you have what the channels you use. So one side you have the digital channels. On the other side you have the traditional media channels like the TV, the radio, the news. So wherever that is, wherever you can obtain that information to support, bring that 360, the picture to the table. Again, the more you have, the have the right information to support will have a larger impact on your case.
I think we can conclude the session. Recording of this session will be available in LinkedIn as Effie Sri Lanka LinkedIn page. You can consume that. Maybe if someone misses this, you can pass a message to them so they can have a look again. If there are no question further, then we can wind up the session. Thank you so much, Himali Madhur Singh, head of Kanta, for facilitating this session. This is very insightful, and we also learn new things from this session. Thank you so much again. Thanks everyone who has joined. Thank you.
My
Have a
pleasure.
good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.